So good day everyone. So I am Erica Jane Pateno and I am the second reporter of Group 11 and my topic is all about financing decision. So first, what is financing decision? A financial decision which is concerned with the amount of finance to be raised from various long-term sources of funds like equity shares, preference shares, debentures, bank loan, and etc. It is called financing decision. In other words, it is a decision on the capital structures of a company. So, financing decision is a corporate finance refers to the process of determining how a company will raise capital to fund its operations and investment. So So the decisions revolves around selecting the right mix of long-term sources of funds such as equity shares, preference shares, debentures, and bank loans. So essential, it involves deciding on the company's capital structures, which is composition of its long-term financing. Each company financing decision is influenced by factors such as risk tolerance, cost of capital, and overall financial strategy. The goal is strike a, a balance that maximize shareholders' value and supports the company's growth objectives. So the second one is a financial risk. So the risk is difficult on payment on periodical interest and repayment of capital on borrowed funds is called financial risk. This sentence describes the financial risk is a potential for difficult on the payment of interest and repayment of borrowed capital. So, borrowed funds. This refers to the money by an individual, company, or entity. It could be form of loans, bonds, or any other financial instrument that involve borrowing. So in difficult risk, this is the risk that the borrower may fail to fulfill their financial obligations, such as paying interest on time or repaying the borrowed capital. So there are six factors affecting financing decision. The first one is cost. So what is cost? The cost of raising funds from different sources is different. The cost of equity is more than the cost of debt, and the cheapest source should be selected probably. So, cost of raising funds. The cost of raising funds refers to the expenses incurred in obtaining financial sources of business. So the second one is risk. So the risk is a different funding sources carrying varying levels of risk. Borrowed funds or debit introduce more a risk compared to the owner of funds equity. So the third one is floating cost. So floating cost pertains to the expenses associated with issuing securities. This includes fees paid to brokers, underwriters, and costs related to preparing the distributing prospectuses. So in this summary, a company needs to be careful considered to the trade-off between the cost, risk, and floating costs associated with the different funding sources to make informed financial decisions. So the fourth one is cash flow position of the business. So in case the cash flow position of the company is good enough, then it easily use borrowed funds. So if a company has a positive and stable cash flow, it is indicate its ability to generate enough to cash to meet its obligation. In such as cases, the company can comfortably use funds, borrowed funds, debit, since it is has mean to repay. For example, a profitable manufacturing company consists generate a surplus cash from its operations. It may optical for a bank loan to expand its production's capacity, leveraging its strong cash flow to repay the loans. The fifth one is controlled considerations. So, existing shareholders might prioritize maintaining control over the company's operation. If may are not willing to dilute their controlled borrowing funds or debits, becomes an attractive operation options since it doesn't involve giving ownership. Say for example, a family-owned business that values its independence might choose to take out-of-bank loans to finance a new project. So, avoiding the needs to share their decision-making, power the external shareholders. So, the last one is state of capital markets. So, the state of capital markets, whether it's boom of depressions, influence the is to raise funds through different means. So during the boom period, when stock markets are performed well, companies may find it easier to raise capital by issuing shares because of investors are more willing to buy stocks. And then, say for example, a technology company may choose to go public and issues shares during a period of economic prosperity when investors' confidence is high. But during a recession, it might find it more practical to secure a loan expansion. In this summary, the cash flow position, controlled consideration, and the state of the capital markets are key factors that influence the choice between debit and equity financing for a business. And these decisions are often made based on the current circumstances and strategic considerations. So now, let's proceed to the capital structures decision. So can you please read this one? Yes. So, the capital structures decisions involves determining how a company will finance in a long-term investment needs. These decisions revolves around finding the right of mix of long-term debt and equity to fund the firm assets. So, finance managers play a crucial role in deciding the amount of funds to raise, identifying the sources of these funds, debit or the equity. So, determining the timing of raising these funds. The goal is to find an optional combinations of different sources of funds like balance cost, risk, and control consideration to maximize the firm's value. So the capital structures decisions involve carefully evaluating various combinations of debit and equity to determine the most effective, efficient way to finance a company long-term investment, considering the factors such as cost, risk, and control. So now, let's proceed to risk-return trade-off. So risk-return trade-off is involved in capital structures decision as well. Usually, debit is considered cheaper than the equity. Capital, because its interest to debit tax is deductible, also since debit is paid before equity. Risk is lower investors, and so they demand lower returns on debit investment. So, a risk return trade off in capital structures refers to the relationships between the level of risk associated with the particular financing options and the potential return expected by the investor. So, the risk returns trade off in the capital structures involves balancing cost of capital with level of risk. The debit is often favored due to the tax advantages and the lower risk of investor compared to the equity. So now let's proceed to the following RK of financing decision. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6. The first one is how much inventory to keep. Second, deciding ratio of cash and credit sales. Third is proper management of cash. The fourth is effective administration of bills receivable and payables. The last one, it is 5, investment of surplus each. So how much inventory to keep? This involves determining the optimal levels of inventory of a business. So maintaining too much of inventory ties up capitals and incur storage cost, while too little inventory can lead to stock out and potential loss of sales. The goal is to strike a balance that ensures the efficiently operations and meet customers' demand. So the second one is deciding ratio of cash and credit sales. So businesses often engage in both cash and credit sales. The decision of the ratio between two types of sales involves assessing customer creditworthiness, managing cost, managing cash flow, and finding a balance between immediately cash inflows and potential larger but delayed cash inflow from credit sales. The third one is proper management of cash. So, cash management is crucial for a company's liquidity and operational efficiency. This includes monitoring daily cash flow, optimize the and timing of cash receipt and payment, ensuring the business has enough to cash on hand, cover it up short-term obligations. The fourth one is the effective administration of bills receivable and payables. So managing bills received involves efficiently collecting payments from customers who have purchased goods or services on credit. On the other hand, effective administration of bills payables involve managing the company obligation to supplier and ensured timely payment while optimizing cash flow. So the last one is investment of surplus cash. When a company has surplus cash that is not immediately needed to operational expenses, so it can invest to generate additional return. The choice of investment vehicles depends on factors such as risk tolerance, liquidity needs, and the company's overall financial strategy. So in this these key areas of financing decision revolve around optimizing various aspects as of a company financial management, include inventory levels, levels, sales mix, cash management, receivables and payable administrations, and the strategic investment of surplus cash to enhance overall financial performance. So, the types of financial decision uh, with factors affecting it. So, financing decision are financial decision related to rising of finance. It involves identification of various sources of finance and quantum of finance to be raised from long-term and short-term sources. So, is a firm can raise long-term finance either through shareholders' funds and borrowed capital. So the financial management as part of the financing decisions calculate the cost of capital and the financial risk of various options and decide the proportion in which the funds will raise from shareholders, funds from borrowed funds. That could be all, and thank you, and may God bless you, and Happy New Year, everyone.